So at this point, Speed is like, listen, Manny, you're probably going to beat me, but if you're really so good, I want you to beat me with this guy. How are you going to checkmate this king with this pawn? Like, they're on opposite ends of the board. How will you possibly do that? Now, one hack is that I guess you could promote the pawn to a queen, although it's not a pawn anymore. So you're going to have to bring the king to this side of the board by clearing everything and then checkmate. That's not easy. So queen e6 check. King goes up. And Manny now begins taking a bunch of pieces. He gives another check. Now he pushes. And I think his logic is, let me eliminate the black pieces and then walk the king over to the edge of the board. So he gives a check. And now this is a fork. The rook was blocking the pawn, but now he takes the rook. We're trying to bring the king over there. Like we have to. It's like a movie, like a heist. You know, we got to bring the king over. So he gives a check and he gives another check. And so Manny goes knight c7. Speed walks. Knight b5. Speed walks. Now we give a check and now king c2. So we're close. Right, and Speed could have ran that way, and then we would have had to force him out. But this is checkmate. There's a lot of different checkmates, but we have to do it with the pawn. So how are we going to do this? So Manny decides, you know what? I'm going to move my rook over here. Why? So that the rook is never in any danger. Black plays king b3. Now we give a check. Now the king is stuck in the corner again. There's like 37 different ways to win here with white. Queen d2, king b3. And now we force the king out, and Manny decides I'm going to grab a pawn. Only thing Manny has to worry about here is stalemate. So we have g5. Speed moving the only thing he can move. Manny brings his king, g4. I think he's still kind of trying to figure this out, Manny. He's like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to run the king to the corner? Almost like solving a Rubik's Cube, if you will. He's trying to give away his knight, and he does. And Speed takes the knight because you're in check. You might as well take the knight. Queen before king a6. And now Manny comes up with something very clever. Basically, he's like, okay, I need to checkmate with the pawn. How am I going to do that? Because if I just walk the king back, the pawn is never attacking the king. It's just going to stand there. So here he realizes, I think I want my king on that square so that my pawn can checkmate him. But then the king is going to run to the corner and the brain starts turning and the gears start going. And he comes up with this very smart idea. He leaves the king stranded here, right? So he stops black from advancing and he calculates very correctly. I need to get this pawn to a7 and I need to make sure the king is stuck. So watch this. He brings the king in front of the queen. And now he starts pushing the pawn. And he calculates it so that this pawn is going to get there. And the queen will cut off the escape to the corner at the very right moment. So king here, a5, king b8, a6, king a8. Now he gives this check. Or he could have given it on d5. And he checkmates Speed with the pawn that Speed told him to checkmate with.